The day starts rough with heavy traffic, and someone is already frustrated just trying to get through. The crowded situation continues as people push each other just to get into the subway or some entrance. More people are squeezing in, and someone loudly pleads for others to stop pushing them. The chaos seems to be everywhere, as seen by the heavy traffic and the sight of a bus door struggling with passengers. Finally reaching the destination, the main character thinks to himself that commuting is absolute hell after the ordeal. He is so exhausted from the commute, wondering how he even managed this during his first year. He seriously thinks about moving out from his parents' place or just quitting school altogether because of the struggle. His junior, Hano, immediately calls out Seonwoo Sunmi for sounding weak, especially for someone who was a reserve sergeant in the Special Forces. Hano asks if the Special Forces part was all just lies, pointing out he can't handle just 2 hours of travel. Seonwoo tells Hano to wait until he serves his own army time before making such comments. Then, he asks Hano how long he plans to keep putting off his service. Hano starts to give a serious statement, claiming unification will be the victor in some situation. Seonwoo immediately calls Hano's cheer for unification bullshit since Hano doesn't even watch the news. He then reveals he knows Hano is delaying his service because of Myeon. Seonwoo gets slightly softer, asking Hano why he has to bring up Myeon's name. He then reminds Hano of the warning he gave 3 years ago at the opening ceremony about avoiding CC campus couples. Seonwoo walks away up the stairs toward the building, leaving Hano behind in thought. Hano watches Sunmi walk up the steps, still deep in thought about the conversation. Seonwoo stops and looks back at Hano, asking him if he is starting to cry and calling him Hano. Seonwoo wonders if he was too harsh on Hano, while Hano looks up to the sky, muttering that there is something in the sky. Seonwoo asks Hano what is wrong with the sky, joking if he sees Myeon's face up there, just as a strange number appears briefly above the library. Hano urgently asks Seonwoo if he saw what just happened. Seonwoo dismisses Hano's claim, saying he is just lonely these days, while Hano insists he saw something saying monsters downloading. Hano points dramatically toward the sky above the library building, insisting on what he saw. Seonwoo looks in the direction Hano is pointing, still skeptical. Seonwoo grabs Hano aggressively, calling him a bastard and asking what game he played last night, accusing him of not knowing what is real. Hano weakly pleads that it was real. Seonwoo tells him he was probably just seeing things because he's been drinking too much lately. Hano just responds with a dry "oh, you think?" while clearly distressed. Hano asks Seonwoo to get him a coffee from the vending machine because he needs a recharge, but Seonwoo says he doesn't have time because Professor Kim is always punctual. Hano seems overwhelmed by the thought of staying awake. Seonwoo comments on the poor willpower of a Special Forces member who might doze off again. Hano just says huh, in confusion as the world starts to change. Hano says he will see Seonwoo at lunch and that he might finish class early, but he insists again about seeing something earlier. Seonwoo cuts him off, telling him to stop the nonsense and that he is going inside first, telling him to text later. Seonwoo enters the building while the surroundings suggest something is about to happen, showing the elevator and then the door to classroom 404. Inside the classroom, a professor is lecturing to students who look generally bored or tired. The main character, Seonwoo, is extremely sleepy, wondering if he should go get coffee. He admits he can't stay awake. Suddenly, a huge blue panel appears in front of him with a question. What is the best class in order to survive in an apocalyptic world? Please make your choice immediately. Seonwoo wakes up startled, wiping his eyes and looking confused about the message about an apocalyptic world. The exact same system message demanding an immediate choice pops up again in front of him. As Seonwoo rubs his eyes again, the classroom environment seems to flicker and warp, and the lights go out. A sound of electricity buzzing is heard near a device, perhaps the source of the sudden change. The screen goes completely black for a moment, with just a small figure sitting down. The classroom is now plunged into total darkness, despite it being daytime, causing panic among the students who can't see anything. Seonwoo realizes it's not just a power blackout because his phone isn't working either, and he feels something is terribly wrong. One student shows his non-working phone in shock, while another girl asks in confusion what that strange thing is. Seonwoo wonders if he is the only one seeing the strange floating blue displays, but others confirm they see it too, asking if it's a hologram. Someone shouts that it is definitely not an illusion or hologram, while the text on the screen in the student's view is reversed. Everyone sees the same message, and a timer appears showing 15 seconds remaining, urging them to make a choice. Xianwu clutches his head as the intense light and system initiation seem to cause physical discomfort. As the timer ticks down, several glowing cards with figures on them float towards Xianwu. More cards appear, including one showing a swordsman figure. Xianwu realizes these are cards and can see that the characters on them have different star ratings. Students panic, with some warning others not to touch the cards, but one person wisely asks if not touching them might be more dangerous given the 15-second deadline. Xianwu realizes the choice is urgent, thinking about the message about surviving in an apocalyptic world. The timer drops to 10 seconds and Xianwu wonders if this is like poker, needing to select one of the class cards. With 8 seconds left, the pressure is mounting as he needs to decide quickly. The timer continues to rapidly decrease, down to 7 seconds, as Xianwu focuses intensely. Suddenly, a card materializes into a full-size sword, striking one of the other students who screams in pain. The students react in terror to the real sword that just appeared, asking what happened and expressing fear. Xianwu realizes with horror that the warrior card that disappeared must have turned into that real weapon, remembering the instruction to make a good choice to survive. With 5 seconds left, he notices the stars on the cards vary and decides to choose the one with the most stars. He quickly makes his selection, and a confirmation message appears right before the timer runs out. A new message confirms that he has chosen a class card. A massive skeletal figure materializes around Xianwu with intense green energy. The system officially confirms his class as Necromancer with 5 stars, making him utter the class name in disbelief. Xianwu looks at his hand glowing with green energy, and a final message announces the end of the first round of class selection. The lights return, and the students find themselves back in the classroom, with one shouting they are back. A close-up shot shows a hand gripping a weapon hilt tightly. The weapon is revealed to be a massive sword that has materialized, causing the student holding it to look terrified. The student holding the sword expresses shock and confusion, explaining that the weapon fell right in front of him after he picked the warrior card. Xianwu realizes this means he is truly a necromancer. Xianwu wonders why nothing appeared in front of him if he was the one who chose a class, feeling a pang of realization. As he questions the lack of an interface, a monster suddenly lunges at him from the shadows. The monster attacks, and the student who got the sword is violently thrown back, screaming in pain. The student begs for help while the monster, with glowing yellow eyes, claws at him, telling it to get off. The monster stabs the student repeatedly as he cries out in pain. The student begs to be saved as the monster continues its assault. Xianwu watches from a distance as the monster attacks the student who got the warrior class. Xianwu makes a decisive move with his hand, causing an impact. A small goblin creature, now armed with a dagger, kills the student who had the sword. The monstrous face of a larger creature looms over the fallen student, letting out a terrifying screech. Other students panic, telling the remaining monster to get back. While Xianwu stands alone in the center of the destroyed classroom, the dead student lies on the floor, covered in blood, confirming the horrific reality. Xianwu curses the monster for appearing right in the back of the classroom. He realizes he can't move because any sudden action might draw the monster's attention to him. The monster lets out another screech. The sword-wielding student's friend, Minsu, is frantically urged by others to use his sword on the monster. Minsu is utterly confused about what he is supposed to do. Xianwu looks at Minsu with a slight, unsettling smile, asking if Minsu remembers him. Minsu, terrified, asks what Xianwu wants him to do, as he only has the sword. Xianwu continues his eerie smile, confirming Minsu should remember him. Minsu screams in frustration, asking what he is supposed to do, while Xianwu calmly states, "All we're fucked." A massive impact hits the monster, suggesting Xianwu has taken action. The small goblin shrieks as it is hit. The student who got the warrior card regrets not running away as the monster pursues him relentlessly. Xianwu steels himself, realizing turning his back means he is finished, despite the danger. With a powerful burst of energy, Xianwu unleashes something that hits the goblin creature hard. Xianwu tries to rationalize, saying the creature is just a small monster weighing about 15 kilos, while the goblin roars. The monster continues to struggle, and Xianwu grabs what looks like a storage box or something heavy. Xianwu yells "fuck off, you bastard!" and kicks the monster away with immense force. The monster reels from the blow. The goblin screams in pain after being struck, and Xianwu yells "fuck." In frustration, the heavy debris from the impact scatters around. Xianwu unleashes another powerful blow, sending the goblin flying. The goblin is defeated and lies dead on the floor. Xianwu stands over the mess of overturned chairs, breathing heavily as a system notification rewards him with 10 gold for hunting a goblin. Xianwu sighs, wondering what to do next as the gold reward is displayed. Minsu and the others are still terrified, staring at the scene. Xianwu snaps out of his brief moment of clarity, annoyed that he doesn't have time to think about the goblin and 10 gold messages, wondering if the world turned into a fantasy game. A new system message appears, explaining that his power allows him to bring the dead into his horde, listing the first member, a level 1 goblin skeleton with a dagger. Xianwu is confused by the terms goblin and horde, looking around to see if others are reacting. Someone screams, pointing behind Xianwu, warning him to look. Xianwu turns around as a surge of green, ghostly energy explodes behind him. He stares in awe as a skeletal figure forms from the energy, whispering awe. He realizes with shock, this is a skeleton. The tiny, dagger-wielding skeleton from before is now manifesting fully, covered in the same green energy. Xianwu understands now. His class allows him to command the undead. He confirms his class is the necromancer. As a powerful, cloaked figure rises from the swirling green magic, surrounded by other skeletal hands. A small, hooded skeleton figure with glowing blue eyes appeared suddenly. These little monsters, looking like small goblins holding knives, were making menacing sounds. The other students were terrified, shouting that there were more of the creatures this time. Xianwu then took command, telling his horde to get ready. A system message appeared, showing that his horde was waiting for his orders, and Xianwu yelled for them to fight. With a fierce look, Xianwu commanded them to kill those bad guys for him. The little skeletons rushed forward and started attacking the enemies with loud sounds of combat. One of the monsters was hit hard by the skeletal minions. The monsters cried out in pain as the skeletons fought back effectively. The fight was intense, with the skeletons skillfully using their small weapons against the attackers. A skeleton got hit, but kept fighting back fiercely against one of the goblins. Xianwu watched the fight, thinking that if he just stayed back and let them fight, he wouldn't have to step in. He noted that these creatures were small, like kids, and not too hard to fight, but his main problem was that he didn't have a weapon himself. A panicked student named Minsu was clutching his sword, while another person yelled at him to hurry up and give the sword over so they could kill the monsters. The student holding the sword was confused, but Xianwu insisted they hurry so he could kill those things. The student refused to give the sword, claiming this was all he had, which made Xianwu angry, and he told the student to go fight them himself if he wouldn't share. The monsters were still approaching the scared students. The student with the sword screamed, but Xianwu dismissed him, saying to forget it and used the sword to peel potatoes instead. Xianwu walked toward the fighting, and the student who was previously holding the sword was completely shocked. Xianwu's skeleton hit a monster with a powerful blow. The skeleton minions continued their assault on the remaining enemies. One skeleton landed a final blow, and a system message popped up, showing that Xianwu earned 10 gold for hunting a goblin. Xianwu saw the notification about earning gold. A skeleton, now holding a small staff, stood before Xianwu, looking up at him. Xianwu looked down at his small skeleton minion, which seemed to be waiting for instructions. He looked intently at the little creature in front of him. The skeleton's glowing eyes seemed intense as it waited. Xianwu awkwardly told the skeleton that looking at it like that upset him, and asked it to look somewhere else. The little skeleton stood there, and Xianwu wondered if this simple skeleton wasn't feeling disappointed, while a system message announced that his power enabled him to bring the dead into his horde. Xianwu looked on as another system message appeared, stating he reached the maximum number of units in his horde, showing a skull with blue flames. One of the other survivors asked Xianwu what just happened, and he replied that he wasn't sure either, but something was happening. The other people in the room were screaming in terror as something overwhelming seemed to be happening to them. A girl frantically told the professor that she couldn't call the police, and the professor calmly told her to calm down. Someone realized that this chaos was happening all around the campus. The scene briefly showed intense glowing light, indicating a large-scale event. They wondered if this nightmare was spreading all over the country. The view zoomed out to show a city under a fiery, orange sky, suggesting widespread disaster. People were seen trapped in windows, looking desperate amidst the bright, scary light. A young man below looked up in horror, questioning if this was happening all over the world. This was the title page for The Lone Necromancer, Chapter 2. The scene shifted back to a messy room with debris on the floor and a hand covered in blood lying nearby, suggesting a recent fight. A figure burst through the door, yelling that they couldn't stay there any longer. The students were urged to leave the university, and one suggested they go to his car in the parking lot. One student, holding a razor, was clearly panicking, while the others looked back at something that caught their attention. The students spotted two small, menacing figures with glowing yellow eyes in the dark hallway. They screamed to run as the little monsters charged toward the group with a roar. One of the monsters lunged at a screaming girl, causing immediate panic. Xianwu's skeleton dealt a heavy blow to one of the attackers. Xianwu stood firm while the other students ran away from the fight, and someone yelled for everyone to run. The heroic student who grabbed the sword yelled that he would stop them right there, and the others reacted with disbelief that he was actually going to fight. The students scattered in fear as the battle raged around them. Xianwu paused, thinking that if they split up like that, it might be dangerous. He decided that it was better if everyone made their own choices in this new reality. He reasoned that nothing was clear yet, but there must be rules to this game, and they needed to follow them. He thought about the class and skills they were given, and the appearance of the monsters that were their prey. Xianwu considered that maybe his survival rate would increase the more he fought, even if it sounded dumb. He decided that for now, he had his skeleton guys to fight for him. As one of his minions struck an enemy, his undead fighters kept up the strong attacks against the monsters. The skeletons were shown landing more solid hits in the ongoing fight. One of the monsters let out a final, painful cry as it was struck. A powerful strike from a skeleton connected with a monster, causing a bright flash. Xianwu watched as one of his undead units stomped on the head of a defeated monster, causing it to explode. A system notification informed Xianwu that a unit of his horde had returned to eternal death, making him look worried. Despite the loss, Xianwu urged himself to please win, while the remaining monsters made low, guttural noises. The remaining skeletons continued to fight the remaining goblins, one of whom screamed in agony. One of the skeletons was shown getting hit hard in the ongoing chaotic brawl. A final, strong blow was delivered by one of the skeletons, ending the fight with a bright impact. Xianwu received 2 separate notifications for earning 10 gold each time a goblin was defeated, letting out a sigh of relief. He praised his units, saying good job, and a system window showed that he had gained a level, reaching LV.2. Xianwu was surprised by the level up and wondered if he could see his status window too. He grinned, confirming his suspicion, and his player profile window opened up, showing his stats. He saw he had stat points available to allocate, noting his current MP was low at 3 out of 30. He pondered why games usually let you allocate points when you level up, as he was presented with level up card choices. He saw options for stat points random, skill random, item random, increased strength fixed, and others random, and he settled on a random choice with a sigh. Xianwu thought that this random selection was likely the most important part of many games. He acknowledged that it was a gamble since he didn't know what he would get, as he reached for a skill random card. After selecting the card, a large notification confirmed that the number of units in his horde had increased by 1. Another message popped up, warning him that he was low on mana, showing only 3 out of 30 available. Xianwu questioned the low mana limit of 30, then calculated that his current units probably didn't cost much mana. He realized he knew that his skeleton minions were upsetting him somehow, and then asked the small skeletons to stop staring at him. Small skeletons looked miserable as Xianwu told them to look away. The scene showed the hallway where the battle took place, with the skeletons now gathered near the stairs. Xianwu wiped his face, telling himself he needed to focus to survive and that he would make mistakes if he was careless. He accepted the situation, stating that even though he didn't fully understand it, things were good until now, and he just needed to focus on surviving for the moment. He resolved that surviving was all he needed to think about, and he needed to get it together to leave this place. Xianwu walked forward while his revived skeleton minions followed closely behind him. Outside, people were screaming in agony as they were attacked by other creatures, with fire raging in the background. Looking out a window, Xianwu saw the fiery chaos and thought that the situation looked better down there, but he couldn't just run down without thinking. He knew he couldn't stay put forever. Xianwu decided to try going down, telling his undead units to lead the front as they moved down the stairs together. The story starts with some tense action, showing someone carefully moving downstairs, breathing heavily. This careful movement leads to a confrontation where a glowing skeleton appears, startling the protagonist's companion. The companion is clearly terrified by whatever just happened or what he is seeing. Suddenly, the companion attacks the glowing skeleton with a knife in a desperate move. Xianwu is then called out, looking shocked by the sudden chaos. Xianwu calmly reveals his summoned skeletons, asking his companion what he should call these things, maybe bodyguards. Xiangwu asked Hanho about his class card, and Hanho admits he is a thief, worried about his class ranking. Hanho proudly states he got a 1-star card, thinking it means he is a decent fighter like a 1-star general. Xiangwu gives a non-committal response, suggesting Hanho keep believing in that, before deciding they should find a safe place to go next. As they move down the stairs, Xiangwu is confident his skeleton bodyguards will handle things up front. Xiangwu sees a notification about a synergy effect popping up because of his teamwork. The synergy is for a group of dagger thieves, giving bonuses like increased fatal blow chance and gold for equipping 5 daggers. Hanho asks if Xiangwu can see this information too. Xiangwu confirms he sees it and realizes that grouping similar types together gives a buff, meaning more party play gives more benefits. He wonders if even his non-human skeletons count for this grouping effect. Xiangwu decides that even without knowing all the details, this class choice seems very good for him, as he can gain group effects even while playing alone. The scene then shifts focus to an ongoing fight as Xiangwu's skeletons are engaging enemies. Several goblins appear on the stairs, led by a much larger goblin general, all screaming and rushing toward them. The goblin general looks menacing with its glowing yellow eyes. Hanho points at the big monster, telling Xiangwu that the big one must be the boss. Xiangwu's skeletons immediately activate an effect called Smell of Death, which weakens the group of goblins because he has 4 or more skeletons of the same species. The regular goblins react to this strange smell with fear, while Xiangwu smiles, thinking how lucky he is. The fight escalates, with Xiangwu's skeletons landing heavy hits on the general and other goblins. The skeletons keep attacking the goblins, who are clearly getting hurt badly. Hanho is excited watching his senior, Xiangwu, taking down the enemies so effectively. The goblin general glows with intense power as it prepares to use a major move. The goblin general unleashes a massive, powerful punch, creating a huge impact. Notification confirms that the goblin general activated Beast's Madness, which makes its subordinate goblins stronger. Despite the goblins becoming stronger, Xiangwu's skeleton continues its attack on the general, causing it pain. The skeleton's attack seems to overpower the general for a moment, confusing Hanho's companion. Hanho's companion asks if they should run now, but Xiangwu tells him to wait because he needs to observe the situation clearly. Xiangwu realizes that these skeletons move exactly as he commands. He then wonders what specific action he needs to take next to end this. Xiangwu seems to have found the right move, as a bright light erupts around the goblin general when struck. Xiangwu channels his power and his skeletons move to strike the remaining goblins. One of Xiangwu's summoned figures, perhaps a mage-like skeleton with a pointy hat, channels energy toward the fight. The energy from Xiangwu's power hits the enemies hard, making them react in pain. More impact and forceful hits land on the remaining monsters. The goblin general screams in pain as it gets struck multiple times. Even the smaller skeletons manage to strike the general. A small goblin cries out in surprise after being hit by one of the skeletons. A system message pops up showing that Xiangwu earned 10 gold for hunting a regular goblin. Multiple gold notifications appear as the skeletons quickly dispatch the remaining goblins. More gold notifications stack up as the last of the minor goblins are taken down. The remaining skeletons stand over the defeated enemies, their eyes glowing. The small skeletons move around after the fight, while the goblin general finally falls. The goblin general utters a final sound before being defeated by the skeleton warriors. Xiangwu earns a large amount of gold, 50 plus a bonus, for defeating the goblin general. Hanho is completely amazed and a bit wild with excitement over the quick and brutal victory. Hanho notices the dropped items and asks Xiangwu about them. Xiangwu confirms they are items and stands ready with his weapon. The first item is shown, a crude spear of normal rank with no special effect. The second item is a beastly vigor bracelet of rare rank, which increases the attack speed of small-built subordinates. The system confirms the attack speed buff is active for his goblin skeletons and notes he can use a buff skill now because he is goblin-type mercenaries. The skill Beastly Vigor is a buff that increases attack power and speed for goblin mercenaries for 10 minutes, with a 1-hour cooldown. Xiangwu notes he gained a lot from this fight. One of the tiny skeletons seems to be showing excitement or joy near Xiangwu's hand. Xiangwu compliments his skeleton, saying good job. Hanho starts complaining about the skeleton's strange noises after being complimented. Hanho asks where they are going next, and Xiangwu tells him they should try to get out of here for now. The scene transitions to the title screen for a moment before shifting to a new location. The view changes to a lobby area where a group of students is gathered near the exit doors. Xianwu tells his skeletons to stay inside the copy room so they don't scare the other people. He agrees with Hano that they should keep the skeletons hidden to prevent a panic among the other students, and then tells everyone to calm down. A student council member, Lee Jinseok, steps forward, calmly stating they are trying to contact the police and figure things out. Another aggressive female student yells at Lee Jinseok, questioning the student council's usefulness and demanding they break the doors open. Lee Jinseok, looking annoyed, tells them they have tried everything and the doors won't break. The female student argues, and Lee Jinseok tries to assert authority, telling everyone to calm down and follow his instructions. Xianwu's group observes Lee Jinseok, and Hano whispers a negative description of him, calling him a controlling idiot famous for harassing women. Hano thinks Lee Jinseok is only in the student council for his own greedy reasons, which seems like it will complicate things. Lee Jinseok approaches Xianwu and asks if he picked a class card, as he needs everyone with weapons to help protect others. Xianwu confirms they both did, and then points out Hanho to Lee Jinseok. Lee Jinseok acknowledges Hano from an event, but seems dismissive. Lee Jinseok asks Xianwu what class he is, observing his weapon and assuming he is a spearman, suggesting he will be useful. Xianwu confirms he killed the green bastards, which Lee Jinseok corrects as goblins, warning they are hard to fight even with weapons. Lee Jinseok boasts about his own class being a 2-star shield warrior and tells Xianwu to hide behind him if needed. Suddenly, someone alerts them that they can hear goblins coming from the stairway. Lee Jinseok quickly directs everyone to hide inside the nearby cafe, promising that he and his shield-wielding group will guard the entrance. Xianwu pulls Hano aside and asks if he sees the lock symbol on the door. Hanho notices the lock sign and Xianwu explains the doors are sealed with powerful magic and they must kill a boss monster to leave within the time limit of 2 hours and 11 minutes, or the monsters get stronger. Hanho is shocked about the boss and the time limit, asking if they all die if they fail. Xianwu brings up that they all know Minsu, who is in the same department as Hano. Lee Jinseok says he is relieved to have juniors from his department as subordinates and suggests they focus and endure together. Hano questions what endure means. Lee Jinseok insists they should wait, as they are already waiting for the rescue team. Hano challenges Lee Jinseok's belief, asking if he really thinks the police can arrive when something like this is happening all over the world, suggesting the army will be busy. Lee Jinseok confirms he was in the army, but Hano asks why he is acting so clueless if he has military experience. Lee Jinseok boasts about the mighty Korean army arriving to solve everything, but Xianwu dismisses this as a weak belief, saying the army cannot cover the whole country. Xianwu tells Lee Jinseok to get it together, saying being passive will only lead to more danger. Lee Jinseok gets angry and tells Xianwu to get inside the cafe and take a nap. Hano shouts for Xianwu Sunbi, warning about the goblins. Xianwu tells Hano to block the cafe doors as goblins are coming from the hallway. Lee Jinseok is confused about what the glowing skeletons are. Xianwu clarifies that his skeletons are not the enemy and his smell of death buff is already weakening the goblins. The goblins react with fear as Xianwu's skeletal forces engage them. Xianwu's skeletons are shown effectively attacking the goblins. As the fight continues, Xianwu earns gold for each goblin killed. More notifications confirm gold earned, and the goblin general is shown taking a massive blow. The skeletons continue to strike down the remaining minions. One skeleton is shown taking down a goblin, while the goblin general is severely wounded. Xianwu receives a large gold reward for killing the goblin general, which makes Hanho exclaim in awe. Hanho asks about the items dropped, and Xianwu confirms he got some. Xianwu shows the crude spear, a basic item, and then the rare bracelet, Beastly Vigor. The bracelet grants a buff to his goblin skeletons, and he gains access to a new skill, Beastly Vigor, a powerful buff for his goblin-type mercenaries. Xianwu realizes he gained a lot. Hano is disturbed by the skeleton's excited, clicking noises. Xianwu tells him good job. Hano asks where they are going, and Xianwu says they need to get out for now, as the chapter title card appears briefly. The scene shifts to the lobby where other students are waiting by the doors, looking stressed. Xianwu directs his skeletons to hide in the copy room to avoid frightening the other survivors. He tells Hano that everyone else will panic if they see the skeletons, and they agree to keep them hidden. Lee Jinseok, the student council leader, tries to calm the group, saying they are contacting the police and figuring things out. An aggressive girl shouts at Lee Jin-seok, questioning the student council's competence and demanding they break the door. Lee Jin-seok maintains that they tried everything, and the door won't break, telling her to calm down and follow instructions. Hanho quietly tells Seonwoo that Lee Jin-seok is a known idiot who follows hierarchies strictly and harasses women, joining the council out of greed. Lee Jin-seok, feeling the tension, asks Seonwoo and Hanho about their classes, expecting them to help protect the others. Seonwoo agrees, and Lee Jin-seok asks about his class, guessing he's a spearman and stating he'll be useful. Inside the cafeteria, people were gathered, looking worried and confused. A small group of people looked especially distressed. A character looked determined, and the others gasped, wondering what was happening with the goblins. One person seemed horrified by what they were seeing. A creature let out a loud cry as a fierce attack happened below. The intensity of the fight was clear from the sound effects. The small skeletal minions were shown delivering powerful blows to an enemy who let out a painful sound. A different monstrous creature with glowing eyes roared as a massive impact shook the ground where someone landed. The camera focused on a person gripping a weapon tightly, showing a grim resolve on their face. Two skeletal figures attacked another creature with knives, making sharp impact sounds. The main character delivered a devastating, fast strike with a glowing weapon to an enemy. One of the shocked onlookers admitted they were thinking about running away alone, but now they were amazed that this guy could defeat enemies so quickly with just a spear. They wondered who this powerful person was. Two of the smaller, goblin-like monsters huddled together, making nervous sounds. The skilled fighter commanded his minions to block the stairs so no one could escape while he held his ground. The little skeletons kept blocking the path and chirped in response to the order. Someone cheered them on for keeping the blockade tight. The leader thought to himself that he needed to show everyone he could solve this problem himself. He planned to prove his capability by showing them the minions he had under his control. With his summoned minions, he intended to persuade the others to go and kill the main boss, believing that was the safest path forward according to the rules. An effect notification appeared, showing that the group attack of the dagger thieves was working, earning extra gold. Another system message popped up, showing an item named Beast's Vigor increased the attack speed of his goblin skeletons by 20%. The bracelet added a buff to the simple goblins. Looking at his small undead army, he realized that stronger monsters might show up soon, not just these goblins. Some of the trapped students realized that the main character was controlling those skeletons, feeling relieved. They asked about his major, trying to figure out who he was. A girl nervously guessed that he was a senior from their creative writing major department. Then, someone else questioned if a writer could really be that decisive in a fight. The minions continued their quick work, dispatching enemies with alarming speed as the main character swiftly defeated another creature with a glowing attack. The main character finished off the last enemy with a quick, green-tinged slash. He let out a breath, confirming that he had taken care of the threat. The other students cheered loudly, impressed by his display of strength. Some students commented on how decisively the guy acted, doubting he was just a writer, while others were just glad to have someone capable around. After the fight, the main character looked around the carnage, thinking there were no useful items dropped from the defeated monsters. He wondered if normal monsters not dropping items meant something, when suddenly a system notification rewarded him with a roulette ticket for killing 20 monsters, upgrading him to an unlimited rank for being the 34th person to get this reward. He questioned the roulette ticket and wondered where it went since they didn't seem to have an inventory system. The main character returned to the group, and his small skeleton minions gathered around him obediently, making clacking sounds, which startled some of the students. One student nervously asked them to stop making that noise as the main character and his squad moved toward the stairs. The main character, leaning on his polearm, asked the other senior, "So, what do you think, Sunbi? Am I useful?" The older man, the student council leader, looked visibly upset by the question and the display of power. The chapter title card appeared, showing the name of the manhwa in Korean. The main character and his small skeleton crew stood before the rest of the students, who were observing silently. The main character explained to everyone that, as written on the door message, the strange lock couldn't be opened or broken. When asked what to do, he pointed out that the solution was written on the message, which was glowing on the door. He then stated that the solution was to kill the boss monster hiding somewhere in the building. Some people looked nervous hearing this. He dramatically showed 2 fingers, declaring they had 2 hours left and must kill the boss within that time. He warned that if they failed, things would become very bad, guessing that stronger, terrible monsters would appear. Someone confirmed they had seen the boss monster while smoking on the rooftop, remembering a huge monster and their professor. The memory showed a huge, terrifying monster looming over someone, and the speaker cried out, "The rooftop." The main character then stated that the destination was decided. The main character looked determined, figuring he should stop expecting others to step up against a boss monster. A nervous student asked if they could stay behind, but the main character immediately refused. He told the student they needed to stay behind and provide buffs for his skeletons, even when offered a dagger in trade, which he refused. He noted that not everyone would follow them anyway, especially since the hallway was tight and he had his skeletons. A female student, Yoon Jisoo, stepped forward, equipped with a sword, looking skeptical about what the skeletons could achieve against his strong boss. She said it seemed rash since they didn't know the boss's strength. She then asked the student council leader Sunbi what his plan was. The student council leader nervously said he would stay behind to guard the area, claiming it was the student council's job to protect students. The main character simply replied, "Fine," and told him to do a good job guarding, then started to leave. The girl in red, Yoon Jisoo, stood confidently, noting that it wouldn't be crowded in the narrow hallway without the others, especially since he had those skeletons. She questioned what he could really do with just those small skeletons. Another student chimed in that they didn't know how strong the boss monster was, implying the current plan was too risky. The main character looked unimpressed and asked the student council leader Sunbi about his plan again. The student council leader, trying to sound important, declared he would stay and guard the place, citing his student council duties. The main character just said, "Fine," and told him to do a good job, before turning away. The main character decided they should head up quickly since they didn't know how much time they had left. He started walking up the stairs with his skeleton crew following closely behind. The team leader of the other group warned someone named Hano not to be careless and to listen to her if he wanted to live. Suddenly, a yell came from behind about goblins. The leader told two people to take care of the goblins coming from below, while the main character's group was already fighting. The minions were attacking fiercely, and one of the students watching was completely amazed by the main character's skill. The main character defeated an attacker with a strong move. The main character, seeing more enemies coming up the stairs, told two people to handle them, looking ready for more action. A skeleton was swiftly defeated by a powerful, fiery attack from one of the main character's undead fires. Another swift, red-tinged blow landed, taking down an enemy. The female student, Yoon Jisoo, easily dispatched an attacking monster with her sword, making it cry out. She looked intensely focused as she continued to fight the remaining enemies swiftly. Yoon Jisoo continued her intense fight, quickly eliminating the remaining threats with powerful strikes. After the brief but intense fight, Yoon Jisoo let out a sigh of relief, looking at her work. One of the other students looked terrified while she seemed composed, breathing out slowly. The students who were watching exclaimed how awesome the main character's Sunbi was after seeing her fight so effectively. The main character looked down at the defeated monsters and a surviving student asked, "Huh?" His skeletons surrounded the fallen foes, looking ready for more action. The student, who was amazed earlier, said, "Never mind," admitting that the main character's team leader seemed to have been right about handling things. The main character smirked, brushing off the earlier doubts, and suggested they move on up. As they walked up, they found their professor, looking gravely injured and defeated. Someone shouted, "Professor?" The students recognized the professor, who was looking extremely weak, and asked what had happened to him. The professor, crying, confessed that most of the students from his department died because of him, crying out that it was all his fault. The main character told the professor to calm down and asked what happened, to which the professor replied that thanks to him, they escaped to the lab. The professor explained that since they couldn't stay in the lab, they went up to the rooftop as per the emergency guideline manual. He then showed a grim, smiling memory of that moment. He showed the emergency guideline manual, explaining that he told everyone that was where they needed to go. The main character looked disturbed, wondering why they went to the rooftop, as the professor continued that an even more terrible monster was up there. The professor then mentioned the student who trusted him and then looked toward the main character's group, who were now ready for action. The professor weakly warned Seonwoo to never go up to the rooftop before collapsing further. The main character caught the professor, who whispered, "You need to survive," as he fell. A loud impact sound was heard as the main character gripped his weapon tightly. A sudden surge of power enveloped the main character as he prepared for the next challenge. A new system window appeared, presenting a personal quest titled, "For the Sake of the Dead's Resentment." The goal was to kill the building's boss monster, and the decision to seek salvation or negligence would affect his fate. Seeing the weight of the decision, the main character wondered if this was a turning point in his destiny. Distressed by the situation, the main character cried out in frustration, questioning why they had to endure all of this. Another student nervously asked if they were really going on. The student looked fearful as the main character, accompanied by his undead minions, started moving up the stairs towards the boss. A determined look in his eye, the main character stepped forward as a large notification announced, "You have entered the boss room." The main character, surrounded by Yoon Jisoo and the other students, along with his loyal skeletons, stepped forward into the boss room, ready for the final fight. The scene opens with a big explosion and fire lighting up the ruined area where people are fighting monsters. The fighting continues amidst the wreckage, showing the chaotic situation unfolding. One of the survivors looks up in fear as a small monster approaches someone who seems defeated. A character lets out a strange sound. A young man looks very stressed and frustrated, letting out a curse word. The title card for the chapter then appears. A character exclaims in shock, realizing someone they know is in danger. The shocked person points out that the person in danger is actually their classmate. Another classmate, a girl with a sword, stares fiercely at the surrounding monsters. She is ready to fight them. Someone tries to take control, saying they need to calm down and think about why they are suffering like this. The realization hits. They are suffering because they are weak, and the only way is to get stronger, as one character boldly declares, "Let's go." The main group stands ready to face the danger, while some small creatures make annoying, sharp sounds. More of those small, shrieking monsters gather, ready to attack. The small monsters are surrounding a target, making loud, irritating noises as they move in. One of the group members asks if they are seeing their senior, and a stern-looking person asks if he really doesn't want to run away this time. The answer is a firm no, as the skeletal minions powered by the necromancer stand ready. The determined character affirms that they will endure whatever comes their way, clenching a fist that starts to glow. The glowing intensifies around the fist, surrounded by a magic circle, as an important system message pops up. The system announces that the Beast's Madness skill has been activated, boosting the attack power and speed of the goblin-type mercenaries for 10 minutes. The empowered goblins scream excitedly and rush forward into battle. The fight breaks out instantly, with one of the small goblins reacting sharply. A quick, powerful movement suggests a strong counterattack is happening. One of the goblins is hit hard, letting out a sharp cry as it seems to be disintegrating from the blow. The powerful impact is shown as the main character deals with the immediate threat. The leader of the group shouts to his friends to use the remaining low-level monsters as shields to protect themselves. A monster cries out as it is struck, and the scene shifts to show a character glowing intensely with power. The character who suggested using shields seems to be regretting the idea as things get dangerous, questioning why he chose this path. He complains that he thought his choice would be good, but it turned out to be terrible, showing an image of what he must have chosen, perhaps related to a past or a memory. Ignoring the regret, the main focus shifts back to the fight with an aggressive command to attack. One of the girls shouts to attack and swings her shield-like object, which successfully hits a goblin. Someone looks confused by the sudden turn of events. The small monsters react in dismay to the blow, but the main character recalls a time when he was also good at something similar. The narration hints at a memory of the main character doing something skillful with pencils in a classroom setting, contrasting with the current violent situation. Then, a character yells, "Take that!" and strikes. The strike connects, and the small goblins cry out as they are hit. The main character pauses, holding up his hand, which is glowing with energy. With a grim look, he declares that he has finally found his hidden talent. The small goblins are terrified as a new, greenish aura affects them, indicating a debuff. A system message confirms that the smell of death rank 1 has weakened the goblins, decreasing their stats by 30%. The weakened goblins shriek in fear as they see a ghostly, skeletal figure rising, still making their characteristic sound. Explosion happens in the immediate foreground, showing the impact of the fight. The remaining goblins look shocked and confused by the sudden turn of events. A much larger, ferocious-looking beast monster roars loudly, showing its immense size and power. The smaller goblins seem to be gathering around the down leader, while the main group notices the big boss. One of the group members points out that they can easily tell which one is the boss monster, and a system window announces the appearance of the goblin centurion. The group stands ready against the massive centurion as another monster roars in the background. The monsters charge, and one of the heroes gasps in reaction to the incoming attack. The main character moves incredibly fast, dodging or intercepting an attack from one of the skeletal minions. The main character screams a fierce command, "Kill them all!" The skeletal minions, now seemingly controlled by the necromancer, engage in a fierce, chaotic melee with the enemies. The fight is intense, with impacts shaking the area. The goblin centurion roars in anger after taking some hits. Someone in the human group shouts a desperate command to retreat, showing extreme fear on their face. A powerful impact occurs as one of the attacks lands on the centurion. As the fight rages, a system message informs the main character that his power has allowed him to raise the dead into his horde, showing him standing confidently amidst newly summoned skeletal fighters. The necromancer's new skeleton minions immediately join the fight, striking one of the goblins. The skeletons fiercely attack the remaining small goblins. The action is fast-paced, showing hits landing and characters reacting to the brutal exchange. One of the supporting characters worries about his dwindling mana, noting that despite the battlefield being covered in fallen enemies, he is nearing his limit. A massive explosion of light and energy occurs in the center of the frame. The centurion seems to have blocked the attack from the skeletons, leading one of the human allies to question if they managed to block that powerful blow. The girl with the sword poses confidently, having successfully blocked the centurion's attack, while the centurion roars furiously below. The supporting character gasps, realizing the centurion is now enraged, and asks if he is angry. The answer confirms the centurion's fury as it lets out a massive roar and swings its weapon toward the panicked supporting character. The smaller minions cry out for help as they are being overwhelmed by the horde. The panicked supporting character recovers slightly, gasping and thanking his allies as he holds his weapon. The chapter ends with the enraged goblin centurion bringing down a powerful, fiery slash toward the heroes. The fight against the big monster was intense, with loud crashes echoing everywhere. The monstrous creature let out a huge yell, and the main character finally let out a small breath. A swift clash of swords happened as the fight continued with high speed and force. The main character stood ready, holding his sword tightly as the action unfolded around him. Suddenly, two of the skull minions got an order: circle around and charge the enemy. The minions quickly attacked the big yellow-haired monster from different sides with fast strikes. The monster tried to defend itself, but the coordinated attacks from the minions were too much. One of the blows landed hard, making the boss monster cry out in pain and surprise. Close-up showed a skeletal hand gripping a sword with determined strength. The little skull guy jumped high, bringing his weapon down right onto the stunned boss monster. More heavy impacts landed on the boss monster, showing the combined effort of the team. The main character looked shocked as a system message popped up, announcing that their team play had activated a synergy effect. The synergy list revealed that because they were using swords, the Murin Warriors' synergy gave them faster attack speed and made their weapons lighter. Below this, the two sword users were shown ready for action. The second synergy was personal, for the one-armed warrior, which increased the chance for the first attack to have a special flow effect. The fight kept going, with the monster roaring in pain as it took more hits. With the new synergy effects and their weapons, the main character felt confident that they could finally win this fight. He then made his move, yelling for the first strike. The minion attacked with a spectral blow, hitting something hard, while the female warrior also struck with intense power. The monster seemed to be struggling, making low, painful groans as the attacks kept coming. A burst of energy showed a massive hit connecting with the monster's body. The female warrior landed a strong hit while another attack came in from the side. The little skeleton minion also got its hit in, making the monster grunt again. The monster screamed in agony as it was engulfed in a final, powerful explosion of energy. A quick, sharp swipe of a weapon cut through the air with great speed. The monster reacted in shock, and the main character cheered on the successful hit. Defeated boss monster struggled, letting out a low growl, but the little minion saw its moment. The minion's eye glowed intensely, focusing its power for a final move. The minion commanded, "Sacrifice yourself," and lunged forward into the monster. The little skull minion gave a quick bye as it threw itself at the monster, looking right at the main character. The main character thought about the minion, remembering it had been with him since the start. However, for the sake of victory, he decided the minion had to be sacrificed, and he let out a fierce yell as the final attack hit. The minion executed its final, glowing attack on the boss monster. The main character looked confused, whispering a quick "huh," as everything settled. Monster was struck down by the minion's final surge of power. The description of the one-armed warrior's synergy effect flashed again, detailing the 88% chance of the flow effect. The main character was shocked as a system message announced they earned 255 gold for killing the boss monster, the Goblin Centurion. Another system message appeared, saying the main character had leveled up to LV.3. One of the surviving team members asked the main character in shock what that skull guy did, and the main character replied that it was just his goblin minion. The system confirmed the goblin skeleton absorbed the centurion's magic, increasing its defense and gaining the special trait Commander, which could lead to formation synergy. The other team member then noticed a strange mark on the minion and asked the main character about it. The minion pointed to its forehead, asking why a weird tattoo had appeared there. The main character checked the minion's status, confirming it was now an elite goblin skeleton LV.2 with the commander trait, and wondered about this new formation synergy that seemed to involve squads and regiments, suggesting he needed more horde members. Images showed the skeleton minions arranged in organized formations, and the main character thought he needed to increase his horde size. Then, the other two survivors happily announced they had also leveled up to level 3. They asked the main character about his level up choice since he was clearly way ahead. The girl mentioned she was a bit careless with her level 2 card choice because of the chaos, and asked the main character what he thought would be a good choice for her next level up. The main character explained that since the choices are random, making a good initial pick is important, and he asked if they also saw the cards. The system showed the main character was selecting a level up card, and he was pointing to the skill random option. He explained that he chose his skill card at level 2, which also increased his horde size, and then a message popped up saying he acquired the basic skill to make bone weapons. The skill details showed he could now use corpse bones to make swords, blunt weapons, spears, or bows, with better quality resulting from better materials and higher skill levels. The main character was impressed that he could now craft bone weapons. He received a personal quest completion reward, Salvation, which slightly changed his fate. Looking at the glowing figure, he whispered the name Professor Kim. A system message stated his horde size increased by 1, allowing him to raise 5 units, and the main character wondered what the change in his fate meant. Feeling clueless about it, he decided he needed to be very careful with his decisions from now on, as the consequences seemed significant. Suddenly, one of the other survivors let out a cry of surprise after checking an item he got. The survivor showed off a dark cloak, which the girl asked about, and he explained it was a thief's cloak that cut down monster awareness by 50%. The cloak's survivor claimed that with this, he wouldn't run away anymore, saying he now knew how to fight. The girl then showed a red stone, which the others asked about, and she explained it was a combustion whetstone. When asked if it was like flint, she said no, and below them, an image showed a fierce-looking tiger-like monster reacting intensely. She then explained that using this to sharpen a sword gave a chance for hits to cause the target to catch fire, which the others thought was cool, and the main character suggested they test it all later before leaving the area. The main character then gathered his skeleton minions and signaled everyone to leave the building now. The group was shown exiting the building and arriving outside, standing near a cafe entrance. One of the survivors nervously approached Jinseok's Sunbi, trying to talk to him. The nervous survivor asked Jinseok if it was truly safe for them to stay where they were. Jinseok got extremely angry after hearing that the others were complaining that they should have followed Xianwu to fight the boss. The nervous survivor muttered that after hearing the others' complaints, he felt terrible, ending with an angry outburst. Jinseok yelled that those people weren't even grateful for their protection and were just talking trash. Jinseok stood over the group, looking massive and intimidating to the others. He challenged the group, telling anyone who wanted to complain to leave and go get killed on the rooftop with Xianwu. When someone questioned where they were supposed to go, Jinseok furiously told them to leave if they had complaints. Some people argued back, asking if the place belonged to Jinseok, and Jinseok yelled that he was protecting it, only for someone else to shout that the one protecting it was the guy who went to the rooftop. The argument got heated, with Jinseok yelling about controlling his temper since high school, but people like them made him lose it. Someone angrily called Jinseok an asshole and dared him to say it to his face. The argument escalated with shouting and pointing fingers, with one person asking if they really thought Xianwu protected them. The angry person insisted that Xianwu went to the rooftop to die acting tough. He emphasized that Xianwu died trying to act brave, while the rest of the group watched on in shock. The angry person continued yelling, asking who said that, and then suddenly someone else shouted back, asking who they were saying die. The skeleton minion suddenly lunged forward, attacking the yelling survivor with extreme speed. The minion stabbed the angry person, who shrieked in pain, and the main character looked on, asking if they were actually hoping he had died. The scene showed the chaos as the minion attacked, with the main character and the girl looking on. Outside the building, a glowing message appeared on the door stating that the doors were sealed by magic, and they could only leave after killing the boss monster, or the monsters inside would get stronger over time. The main character reached for the door handle. A massive flash of light erupted as Jinseok tried to break the seal on the door. Jinseok staggered back, clearly hurt by the magical seal, and the nervous survivor told him he was an eyesore in that condition. The main character, the girl, and the minion stood there, with the minion having a sinister smile as the chapter ended. The main character and his small group of skeleton minions walk out into what looks like a safe area after a fight. One of the people they meet, looking scared, is directly asked by the main character if he has anything to say to him. The scared person stammers a reply, while others around him start whispering about how boastful he was about his strength. The crowd starts mocking the scared guy, saying he was nothing strong in the first place and only acted arrogant. The main character's group steps out onto a blood-stained area, and one of his companions notes that it is quiet here now. The main character's companions confirm they don't see the enemy anymore, but the main guy tells them to still come out quietly because they are safe now. The leader gestures for them to come out slowly, suggesting caution even though they seem to have won the immediate fight. Outside, the scene shows several dead bodies scattered around, making it clear a tough battle just ended near the building. One person points out the bodies, confirming that others have already fallen here too. Someone starts worrying about what they should do next, while another person observes that the goblins seem to move in groups. The observer wonders if the goblins are hiding somewhere else on the campus, then notices a larger group of people approaching from a distance. A member of the approaching group excitedly points toward the main character's party. The newly arrived group seems triumphant and ready for action, with one person raising a weapon high. The main character's group is stunned as these new people appear, realizing they are not alone. The leader of the new group steps forward, announcing that these people are the survivors of the battle with the goblins. The scared person from before is overjoyed to see someone named Jinseok, reacting very loudly and excitedly. The survivors greet Jinseok warmly, happy that he made it through the fight. The leader of the survivors introduces himself as Park Daesun, the student council president, and acts friendly towards Jinseok, saying they went through the same trouble. Daesun suggests Jinseok and his friends will be safe if they join his larger group, while Jinseok's companion looks sternly at the new arrivals. The people around Daesun start whispering that they are talking about Jinseok, and the main character observes this interaction with a serious look. It is confirmed that Daesun is the student council president, and he proudly introduces himself, thinking Jinseok has had a hard time. Daesun explains that his group also fought monsters and offers them safety if they join him. A member of Jinseok's group interrupts to ask about the monsters with Jinseok, while Daesun smiles. Daesun points to Jinseok's skeleton minions and asks what they are, prompting Jinseok to explain they come from the job card he chose. Daesun reacts angrily, questioning if Jinseok chose monsters that kill humans, implying Jinseok is dangerous. Jinseok calmly states that Daesun is trying to paint him as a bad guy, and then gives an ultimatum to join the student council group. They must kill all the skeleton monsters. Jinseok firmly refuses Daesun's demand, saying he cannot kill his own companions. Daesun questions if Jinseok plans to keep those disgusting unidentified monsters around, demanding to know if he wants to hide them. One of Jinseok's companions is shocked at being called disgusting, while another whispers that they are actually cute. The main character quickly tells his companions, Hanno and the others, to be quiet because they need to keep things confidential. Jinseok tells Daesun that he is sorry but he cannot kill his monsters because losing them is like losing his weapons. Daesun challenges Jinseok, asking if he can survive without any weapons in this dangerous situation, to which Jinseok admits he doesn't know. Daesun then offers assurance, saying if they protect him, there will be no problem, and gives a final chance to join them by destroying the creatures. Jinseok's female companion steps forward, challenging Daesun's authority by asking who said they wanted to join his group. She forcefully rejects Daesun's group, calling their behavior toxic, and Daesun seems taken aback. The female companion then asks if Daesun, the president of the student council, played a great role in saving people. Daesun tries to placate her, calling her Miss President and asking her to join them, but she just says nope. She immediately calls Daesun a hypocrite, stating that even though the school is destroyed, his past misdeeds matter, like stealing money during the campus festival. She reveals that she was the one who tipped off the school newspaper about his fraudulence. Daesun is shocked to realize his corruption is known, and she shows a picture of the anonymous tip about him stealing millions of won. Daesun, completely flustered, finally gives up trying to recruit them, telling them to leave before the monsters attack if they disturb them. Dsum warns them they will regret leaving, insisting it's better to stick together for synergy. The female companion yells at them, saying they will regret going around in a small group right before they die, calling them dumbasses. After the confrontation, the main character's group moves away from the building and finds a quieter spot near a covered walkway, though there are still signs of a fight. The main character asks his female companion, Jisoo, if she has a problem with the student council leader, to which she dismisses him as someone who just really sucks. Jisoo explains that Daesung has a reputation for wandering the campus to pick up girls, and some of her juniors were betrayed by him, concluding that his nature won't change despite his title. The main character simply says, "I see," while his other companion reacts with shock, calling Daesung a bad guy. The main character then lays out their first escape mission, to avoid the main campus buildings. He explains they should avoid crowded areas because monsters seem to attack where many people are gathered. He suggests an alternative route, using the trail on the hill behind the campus to reach the main gate, where fewer people are expected. They arrive at a set of stairs leading up a hill, surrounded by trees, suggesting a less populated path away from the main action. The group carefully starts ascending the quiet, dimly lit stairs on the hill path. One companion remarks on how quiet it is, feeling a bad feeling, and then someone yells stop. The main character suddenly stops his companion who was about to rush forward, telling him to be quiet, asking him why he stopped them. The main character puts a finger to his lips, signaling silence as a bright light appears at the top of the stairs. Something large and heavy lands with a thud on the path above them, crushing one of the skeleton minions beneath it. The focus moves to a massive, muscular arm coming down with a heavy impact. The monster is revealed to be a huge, angry-looking orc standing over the fallen skeleton, confirming the danger. The survivors react with terror, yelling about the massive monster being bigger than the goblin boss they just fought. The main character's eyes widen, realizing what kind of monster appears after the goblin boss. He identifies the new threat as the orc. Just as the orc raises its axe to strike again with a loud roar, the orc brings down its axe with incredible force, emphasizing the sheer power of this new enemy. The orc is shown leaping down the stairs aggressively toward the group. The main character's group watches the monster attack, and he simply says nice, seemingly pleased by the turn of events. He looks determined, stating that a new skeleton ingredient has appeared, implying he intends to defeat the orc and use it for his necromancy. The fight against the big monster looked intense, and one of the guys was thinking about the skeleton ingredient. The monster roared, showing its massive tusks, and the human fighting it looked shocked by the intensity. Someone shouted to move as the small skeleton rushed forward to engage the enemy. After an attack landed, one of the characters was thrown back, wondering how such a strong thing could even exist. The large, red-tinged monster stood ready after taking some hits. A female warrior bravely lunged forward, striking the monster with her sword. The monster seemed to react badly to the strike, making a choking sound. More attacks landed on the monster as the fight continued fiercely. The attacks continued to connect with the monster, causing visible damage and chaos. Seeing the continuous assault, another team member yelled for everyone to block the incoming danger. A defense or shield of green energy flared up as the attacks continued to clash against the monster. The skeleton warrior, glowing with green fire, continued its engagement right next to the monster's body. The monster seemed to be struggling as the skeleton warrior pressed its attack. A system message appeared, stating that the chance for the first attack to be parried had gone up by 88%, highlighting the skeleton's effectiveness. The resulting impact showed a strong blow connecting with the monster. After the intense moment, a man called out to Jisoo to get up and move to flatter ground for better fighting. Jisoo cursed, realizing her defense didn't hold, and wondered why her block failed after just one attack, while someone warned her not to get close to the enemy. The group regrouped, and the leader said they needed to fight this creature the same way they beat the previous boss, as the enemy roared in anger. The team, including the skeleton, stood ready in the dim forest light, preparing for the next move. The monster was charging, seemingly roaring in pain or frustration, as the team moved according to their plan. The leader instructed that the skeletons would be sacrificed first as planned, and he noted that with enough corpses around, he could focus on his mana reserves. The orc commander roared in frustration, but the leader confidently stated that such destructive raging was useless in the dense forest setting. The skeletons engaged the monster as the leader gave the signal to attack. The human warrior executed a powerful strike against the monster. The skeletons simultaneously attacked the monster from different sides, causing a large impact. The orc let out a cry as it was being hit hard by the combined efforts of the smaller skeletons. The monster roared again while being battered by the skeleton units. The orc commander looked visibly injured and angry from the sustained barrage. The skeleton continued to attack the large orc while the main human fighter prepared for his next move. Female warrior followed up with a powerful slash, making the orc grunt in pain. The fight continued with more decisive strikes landing on the monster. One skeleton managed to land a hit directly, making the monster scream out in agony. The skeleton seemed to leap onto the monster while it was distracted, dealing another blow. The orc commander finally fell, and a system notification popped up announcing the successful hunt and gold reward. The team discussed the monster, wondering if being called an orc commander meant it was stronger than a regular orc, though it seemed weaker than the previous boss. The leader gave credit to their excellent teamwork, but then a message popped up saying the dead unit could not be revived because his level was too low to raise a medium-sized monster. This made the man realize that even an orc was too strong for his current revival capabilities. He then asked Jisoo what card she chose, revealing that he had chosen the necromancer card himself. Jisoo showed her card, the 3-star specialized hunter, explaining she chose it because she liked the color, making the other person feel like the only one with a low tier 1 star. Having gathered enough mana, the necromancer wondered if it was time to test out his new skill. He activated his skill, Bone Weapon Formation Basic, which offered options to create swords, blunt weapons, spears, or arrows, with blunt weapons having the highest level available. He pondered which weapon type to form, leaning toward the blunt weapon due to its higher level, and then watched as a bone weapon materialize. The others were amazed that the skill worked, and the female warrior commented that the summoned hammer felt lighter than it looked. The leader confirmed the item was the Orc Thighbone Hammer, a common blunt weapon, and told everyone to take one. The skeletons eagerly accepted the bone hammers, which came with synergy effects that increased damage when injured or granted extra damage against medium-sized monsters. Hano seemed about to take one, but the leader stopped him, saying, "Ah, what?" The leader then handed Hano a sword instead, saying he was lending it to him, and Hano thanked him, wanting to use his own abilities next. The leader explained that he was lending the sword because he saw how good the one-armed warrior's synergy was, but he didn't want Hano to lose an arm too, telling him to return it when instructed. As they moved down, the female character took the lead, sword in hand. She told everyone to look around as they went down. Noticing something alarming, a group of cars nearby seemed trapped or sealed off. The area was covered in a purple magical barrier sealing the doors, which required defeating a boss monster to release the magic, and failing to do so in time would strengthen the monster. The group looked at the sealed area, realizing the danger. They saw a countdown timer, indicating they had 8 minutes to clear the area. A new system message appeared, warning that the orc unit would begin their hunt, and orcs would find prey by smell, sending more warriors for stronger prey. The team worried that if they were considered strong prey, many more orcs would come for them, suggesting grouping up might be a disadvantage. Suddenly, a massive horde of orcs appeared, roaring loudly and charging towards them. Charging orcs caused the ground to shake violently. Looking toward the city buildings, the leader pointed out another group, realizing it was likely the student council group. Someone worried about them, but the leader concluded that sticking together wasn't always the best strategy. He declared that the most effective synergy was what mattered most, feeling good about choosing the necromancer card. Another area alert signaled the start of the first attack with 5 orcs incoming. The characters realized this group of 5 orcs was smaller than what the other group in the stadium faced, but then the orcs started roaring aggressively. They spotted the 5 orcs closing in, and one team member nervously asked the leader what they should do as the orcs looked like they were looking for them. The leader looked determined and stated he had a good idea. The skeleton was skeptical, wondering if running away was part of the good idea. The leader commanded the others to prepare a trap using the environment and the skeletons. He stood confidently with his newly summoned skeletons, ready to use their surroundings to their advantage. The fight was intense, as a big axe came down on something while several pig-like monsters, orcs, stood around the fallen. These orcs were in the middle of a wrecked area with cars scattered around, and one of them looked ready to attack again. Suddenly, a glowing figure appeared in a flash of purple light, drawing the attention of the monsters. One of the heroes yelled out angrily at one of the huge orcs, calling it a hot-headed huge-ass porky. The orc got scared and stumbled back, stuttering in fear at the shout. The orcs roared and charged forward with great force, one even transforming or manifesting a fiery, beast-like form. The cloaked figure made a quick move, and there was a sudden impact, causing the attacker to cry out in surprise. Another massive impact followed, and someone shouted, "Attack!" indicating a coordinated effort. The heroes were seen attacking from inside a vehicle, with a green energy blast hitting one of the orcs. The remaining orcs cried out in pain as they were hit by more attacks, one being completely engulfed in fiery energy. The heroes saw their opening and charged in together, knowing it was their chance to finish the fight. After the battle, multiple notifications popped up, showing the gold earned from hunting each orc. The main character received a big reward for stopping the first wave of attacks, earning 100 gold and leveling up to LV.4. He stood tall over the defeated orcs with his companions. As he leveled up, the main character saw a notification that his maximum number of units in his horde increased by 2, and he was excited about getting a skill card. He looked at the glowing card he held. He noted that this addition brought his total unit count to 7, but he was worried because his mana was still very low at only 50. The girl next to him excitedly announced she got a skill, which turned out to be Quick Jab, a skill for daggers. He then turned to Jisushi, asking about his result. Jisushi had a confident, glowing look on his hand. Jisushi explained that he chose Strength, which increased his stats by 2 points, making his body feel warmer and definitely stronger. The main character, Hano, called out to Jisoo, who was surrounded by some blue energy. Hano told Jisoo to give back the sword and reminded him that he needed to use a dagger to use his new skill. The small, round creature near Hano seemed flustered. This was the title page for the chapter, showing the series name in Korean. The scene then shifted to an outside view of the city buildings bathed in a bright, orange sunset glow, with some trees and a truck nearby. The main character suddenly stopped the group, realizing something was wrong, and yelled out, "Wait!" Outside, the orcs were attacking something fiercely, letting out loud roars. Hiding behind some trees, the main character observed the situation, noting there were 7 orcs attacking a small group of people near a vehicle. He saw that the people inside were only managing to stab the orcs through a window, and he grimly stated that they would die if they kept fighting like that. The girl decided they should help, suggesting a pincer attack if they cooperated with the people trapped there. She visualized the plan, showing their skeletal units flanking the orcs attacking a bus and a bus stop shelter, believing it would be an easy hunt if they worked together. The main character, however, looked thoughtful and questioned if the scared people inside would even agree to come out and fight. He believed they couldn't trust scared people in dangerous situations, especially as an orc crashed against something with a frightened cry. The main character then got a mischievous idea, saying, "Let's use that method." With a determined look, he declared they would show the orcs the conveniences of civilization, causing Hanho and the girl to look at him confusedly, asking, "What?" A loud crash was heard as something broke through a wall, and someone inside the structure shouted angrily at the spearmen for missing the target. The person continued to shout, challenging the spearman to go outside and fight if he was so frustrated with his aim. A system message showed the name Lee Kyunsu spearman asterisk, while another person inside screamed in fear about dying. A trapped person cried out, not wanting to die, while an orc grunted, noticing the commotion. The main character's skeletal unit crashed into one of the large orcs, causing a massive impact. More forceful impacts followed as the skeletons engaged the orcs with incredible power. Inside the bus, people were shocked and confused, one asking what happened to Kyunsu and another noticing the skeletons, asking, "Skeletons?" The glowing-eyed skeletons were shown viciously attacking the orcs up close. One person inside exclaimed in terror about the scarier monsters appearing, but then another person wondered why it suddenly got quiet. Someone nervously asked if the monsters had left, just as a bright-eyed skull was shown menacingly close to someone's face. Someone screamed, "Yua! Chi, go away!" as a skeleton seemed to kick a person back during the chaos. As the door was being rattled, someone pleaded, "Please open the door," followed by an urgent cry, "I'm a person, so open the door." Come on! The scene showed the bodies of the defeated orcs lying outside in the dimming light, suggesting the threat was over outside the bus. Inside the bus, someone was crying with relief, whispering, as Sobso relieved and confirming, "We're safe." A hand emerged holding what looked like a broken piece of equipment or a weapon handle. The main character's skeleton smashed through a panel or screen, confirming the destruction of whatever was blocking them. The small character, who was worried earlier, confronted the main character about what he was doing, but then quickly switched to an overly cheerful tone, offering a coke since he didn't have any cash. Hano told the enthusiastic character to step aside because he could handle it, but the first character seemed to have broken the machine they were using. Hano then told the group to continue the discussion about what they were talking about earlier, and the main character seemed to agree with a slight smile. The main character focused on the broken machine, asking if it spat out an item as the instructions suggested. The small character confirmed they all tried it, but since they didn't have much gold, they only tried it once. They explained that if one followed the instructions on the computer, it would give them an item. The main character observed the computer and concluded it looked like a store, to which Hanho agreed, and a system prompt welcomed them to the E-rank store. A glowing hand reached out and touched the screen to continue into the store interface. The main character looked intensely at the screen as it loaded. The fortune roulette options appeared: bronze for 100, silver for 1,000, and gold for 10,000, with a note that E-rank stores only sell items up to gold. Someone asks Sunwoo Sunbi if it is really true that an item will drop from the roulette here. Sunwoo replies that a knife can fall from the air, so anything is possible, and tells them they will know if they try it themselves. Then the system prompts everyone to choose a lucky roulette: bronze for 100, silver for 1,000, or gold for 10,000. One person mentions having only 360 gold and notes that bronze is available, while another has 584 gold. Someone asks Sunwoo about his gold amount. Sunwoo reveals he has 1,552 gold, which shocks the others. Sunwoo is told that with his gold, he can spin a silver roulette, and the system also shows he has one unlimited level roulette ticket. It is mentioned that Sunwoo got benefits from hunting achievements thanks to Robai, giving him a chance to use the ticket this way. A companion asks Sunwoo if he got a gold roulette prize. Sunwoo starts spinning the gold grade roulette, which has options for first place item, second place potion, third place next time, and first place equipment. The roulette spins quickly, and the onlookers watch with intense expressions. The wheel stops, initially showing next time, first place, but then the result changes, making someone exclaim, "Oh!" Sunwoo remarks that the most important thing for survival is luck, as the roulette landed on first place equipment. Sunwoo holds up the legendary item he won, which is an orb called the Sea Spirits tier. The item gives plus 200 mana rise and plus 200% mana recovery, making someone say, "Whoa tilde, what a great first prize for the gold roulette." Sunwoo confirms it's amazing, and then someone suggests they spin the silver roulette next, asking why Sunwoo wants them to spin again. The silver roulette shows the second prize is the Vanguard shield, which a female character is now holding. The other prizes shown are the Punitive Expedition longsword and a C-grade potions package, which a male character is holding with a confused look. The guy with the potions complains about only getting that, and Sunwoo tells him to stop whining, suggesting the item might increase his life. He then points out the playground fight is still crazy. The girl asks if they shouldn't go help, and the guy asks Sunwoo if they should go help now. Sunwoo replies that this time, they should go for something bigger as he jumps toward the action. This is the title card for The Lone Necromancer, Chapter 10. The scene shifts to chaos where monsters are attacking and people are screaming for help. One person is hit hard and someone yells for everyone to stick together. A leader figure commands everyone to fight together, saying they will make a safe path for others. A girl points out that people are stuck over there, but the leader seems focused on the immediate fight. The leader shouts to ignore the stuck people, saying they don't have time to pay attention to them, and then calls out names like Jinseok and Human. The leader then instructs those with shields to get to the front lines. A large orc looks angry, and then two smaller orcs are violently struck down onto something flat. More forceful impacts are shown as the monsters are being smashed around. Someone laughs maniacally, exclaiming that the gold is flowing in, likely from the defeated monsters. System messages pop up showing gold obtained from hunting hunter orcs, while below, a monster is being heavily attacked. Amidst the fighting, someone yells for everyone to ride the bus immediately. A skeletal figure is seen near the action. Some survivors on the ground wonder who that powerful person is and say they should have followed them instead. A character prepares to fight an orc, stating they won't let it go easily this time. A fierce clash occurs, followed by a powerful roar from an orc. A sharp weapon strikes something with a heavy sound effect. A fighter declares, "I held on," and is determined, saying, "I'm not broken by force anymore." The orc that was attacked looks shocked by the resistance, exclaiming, "Cock." The fighter pushes through with bright fiery energy, shouting, "Now." The female fighter looks triumphant, saying, "I succeeded," but then gets a shocked look as something unexpected happens next. Sunwoo, with his shield and sword, stands ready with his skeleton companion next to him against the monsters. His skeleton companion lands a hit on an orc, causing a reaction. The orc struggles, and another heavy blow lands, drawing blood. The orc is clearly injured and reacting painfully to the attacks from the skeleton. A massive impact is shown as the orc is being overwhelmed by multiple strikes. Someone observes that things are going exactly as Sunwoo planned, showing his summon minions moving constantly and attacking while keeping their distance. The observer thinks about the contained attacks and perfect role distribution that doesn't let anyone escape. One of the fighters feels useless because he invested in strength but is currently weaker than the orcs, calling himself an idiot. Someone questions the identity of the powerful figure leading the charge, wondering who that person is. Sunwoo appears, seemingly unaffected by the chaos, and asks what the problem is. An older man, seemingly a leader among the other survivors, confronts Sunwoo, reminding him that he didn't want to be with monsters. The older man mockingly asks if Sunwoo is going to hold grudges now and calls him cruel. Sunwoo stands firm, holding a large shield and sword, with his skeleton beside him, stating that he saw the older man running away and leaving people behind. The older man defensively retorts, asking what he meant by leaving them behind, claiming he was just retreating to regroup. Someone inside a bus wonders if the people on the bus agree with the older man's excuse. The older man reacts angrily to this implied doubt. A system notification appears stating that the chief orc is enraged from the failed hunt, while the scene shows the battle raging near the bus. Sunwoo looks intensely at the enraged chief orc looming in the shadows. The older man is called out, and he tells his subordinate they have no choice but to board the bus. Sunwoo, standing by the bus entrance with his shield, tells them if they listen to his orders, they should hop on. The subordinate asks the older man what they should do, and the leader reluctantly agrees they have no choice, then orders someone to take off their chain armor. The recipient of the order is shocked, asking why he has to take off his armor. The leader presses him, asking how he is supposed to protect his body, to which the leader replies that he will do the protecting, but there will be a price. Sunwoo smiles, explaining that unlike others, his group doesn't dedicate themselves to the students, implying the price for getting saved.